Hello and welcome to Ginny's Horse Product Review. I'm Ginny and I have a really exciting video for you today. I'm going to share my favorite low budget methods of managing my 25-year-old senior arthritic horse. I have 3 great tips to help keep your arthritic horse comfortable on a budget. My first tip for managing an arthritic horse is super easy and cheap, and it's 24/7 turnout. You may remember this tip if you've seen my other video, 5 ways to help keep your arthritic horse comfortable. Full turnout is so important for the arthritic horse. The last thing that arthritic joints need is to be like stationary and holding still. You want your horse's joints to be lubricated and moving, so full turnout is really the first place to start when it comes to arthritic horse management. You don't want them locked up in a stall. This is a budget-friendly tip because a lot of boarding stables, it's cheaper to have field board or turnout board than stall board. They don't have to muck a stall every day. So again, this is a really great budget-friendly tip to help manage your arthritic horse. Make sure that they have turnout. Even if it's a smaller paddock, I know not every place offers large, beautiful rolling hills and pastures for grazing, but just make sure that your horse has enough room to move around day and night. You don't want them holding still and those joints getting even stiffer. That's the last thing they need. If you have trouble keeping weight on your older horse, I know that this can be a little complicated with mixed turnout or field turnout with a lot of other horses. If they're bullied or if they don't have a way to feed horses separately every day to make sure your horse gets the grain they need. But the point is that you want them, whether it's in even like a reasonably good sized little paddock or a big turnout situation, make sure they can move around and also keep into account your horse's condition, how many calories they need a day, and what their needs are versus potential pasture mates and other things like that. So obviously there's a lot of factors involved, but my number 1 budget-friendly tip for keeping your arthritic horse comfortable is always going to be full turnout. My second tip for keeping your arthritic horse comfortable on a budget is exercise. It's basically free. I mean, it costs your time, but this is low impact, easy exercise for older horses. We're talking about lots of walking, trail rides, long trail rides, things like that. But keep your horse's joints moving. I'm not talking about tight circles. I'm not talking about running them around in the round pen or keeping them competitive and really difficult, taxing, difficult sports. I'm just talking about, getting out there and moving around. Think of like senior mall walkers. When you go to the mall and you see those folks just walk in and they got their Reeboks on and everything, that's what you want your horse to be doing. It keeps those joints lubricated and moving. And again, this comes back to not keeping horses stationary, and it also keeps help them in condition. And I think it's mentally stimulating too. Horses just don't want to be turned out to pasture after being, super useful and having great athletic careers just because they're older. Keep them in an exercise program, just tailor it to their needs. And this is a great way that you can just keep your old horse sound and comfortable for as many years as possible. If you're familiar with my channel at all, you know Bamboozal. He is my 25-year-old senior Morgan gelding, and we are still heading down the trail together. And he's looking good, sound comfortable. And I'm going to tell you what, we do a lot of walking, and we trot quite a bit too because our trail partner is gaited. She's a Tennessee walker, so basically her walk is his trot. But the point is, I like to keep him in shape and keep him exercised while also making sure that I'm not overdoing it. I like to be conservative with him. I want to have as many years with him as possible. So it's really important for him to stay in good shape and be exercising and keep those joints moving, but also not to overdo it. So listen to your horse. If you're concerned about significant soundness issues or even a little bit, you should talk to your vet because your horse may be able to benefit from Previcox or something like that, or injections. I don't know. I'm just talking about the base level of keeping your arthritic horse comfortable on a budget. Again, always consult your vet if you're having significant soundness issues or your horse is lame or anything like that. You don't want to push a horse that's in pain, and always just listen to your horse. Finally, my third tip for keeping your arthritic horse comfortable on a budget is to maintain that regular trim or shoeing cycle. I know it can be tempting to go a really long time between trims on a horse that's not really in heavy work, or it's the winter or things like that. But it's super important, I think more important for senior horses than any other horse, to have that regular trimming or shoeing cycle if you use shoes, because you don't want those hooves to go super long between trims. You don't want their angles to be affected if it's been a while and things like that. And this is a great way to, keep an eye on their soundness and comfort and work with your farrier too. Your farrier is kind of a support person in your horse's life. And, this is a great way to keep track of any potential changes, hoof changes, things like that. Your farrier can recognize some of those things that you may not notice on a day-to-day basis. So definitely talk to your farrier. And again, this comes back to talking to your vet too if you're working with soundness issues. The things I'm talking about are really for mild arthritis or just kind of, basically stiff, creaky, old horse things. If you're having soundness issues or your horse is lame or, you can visibly see that your horse is uncomfortable or in pain, you should be bringing in your veterinarian and farrier to talk about these things. It's super important. They're your support team and they need to get on board with you and to make sure that you guys can have a whole plan to keep your horse comfortable. If you haven't already, definitely go check out that video with the 5 tips to keep an arthritic horse comfortable that I did a little while ago. It goes a little more in depth, a few more tips, and let me know what you're doing with your older horse. Drop me a comment. I would love to hear what your protocol is for keeping your horse comfortable into his golden years, what you guys are doing. Are you trail riding? Are you showing? Used to be horses were just turned out to pasture when they got old, and I think a lot of us so value our relationships with our horses. They're family members. We love them. We don't want to just turn them out and forget about them. And with everything that we have, technology-wise and education and things like that, we know we can keep them comfortable into their golden years and really just get as much as we can out of our relationship with them for as long as possible, and ensuring that they're happy and healthy is, I know, everybody's top priority because we love them so much. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button and definitely subscribe to my channel and hit the bell so you don't miss next week's video, where I'm going to talk about how you can ride a horse if you don't own a horse and if you don't have a lot of money to ride horses. Until next time, happy trails.